Right chaps, Ford Mondeo 2005 LX I think, and the heater fans quit, and apparently this is quite a common problem, so I'm going to show you how it's done, because the repair is quite simple. First thing you need to do is open the dashboard and take all the junk out, and then you'll notice that down either side of the dashboard the glove compartment is held in with two large clips. Now they say pull it out, but I find it much easier to get a large screwdriver in and just jemmy it out. It comes out with a bang, but it's okay. Like that. Then you let it drop down and pull this out here. Unclip the light, which can be a bit of a faff. Or do we unclip the connector from the light? I don't know. I'll get back to you on that. Right, it's very simple. There's just a little thumb tag there, and you just click that in, the connector pulls out. So that's the dashboard in pieces. And the fan is directly behind it, underneath this piece of padding, which just pushes off out of the way. Remove that. Okay, now we're into the motor. The motor is a bit awkward to get to, but quite easy to remove. There is a grey connector that goes to the motor, and that again has a little release clip on it, which you have to click in, pull the plug out like that. And there's the plug pulled out. Right, underneath here there are 3 or 4 T20 Torx screws. They're a bit awkward to see. I use a little mirror and a little head torch just popped on the floor to illuminate where they are. So the next thing to do is to remove those. They're not hidden, they're quite easy to see once you get yourself in the right position. And as you can see, the right position tends to be kneeling by the side of the car with your head under the dashboard. T20 Torx screws, and there's a bit of faffing about, they come out quite easily. I'll come back to you when I've got them all out. Right, that's the fan unit out. When you've got the fan unit out, you either remove these 2 screws and remove the climate unit, which is that, or just unplug the wires from the back of the climate unit. Right, that's it for removal. Takes about 5 minutes. Right, here we have the motor on the bench. The next thing to do is to look down the side here, and you'll see that there's 3 little clips which are just like rubbers that slide into a slot. You just get those with a screwdriver, press them in, and the motor should pull out like that. So you go around and release those down, like that, and the motor should pull out of the housing, like that. There we are, and there's the motor exposed. Now the usual cause of this problem is the carbon brushes, and if I can just peel this one back for you, you can see that that or at least I hope you can see, that that carbon brush has completely gone, and I'm going to take it out and make a new one and pop it in its place, because I don't think you can buy these. I don't think they're available as a spare part. I think you have to buy a whole new motor, and you can imagine how expensive that is. Okay chaps, and there you can see the worn out brush holder with no carbon sticking above the surface of the plastic. So what we have to do, I've snipped this wire off here, and what we have to do now is remove that brush from the holder. I usually use a Dremel to grind it away, push the remains of it out, and then fit a new brush and solder the lead back on to where the old one came off. I'll leave a little bit of the lead projecting so that we can just solder back onto it, because it's actually crimped together this, but the lead is copper so you can solder to it. Okay, I'll get this cleaned out now and we'll find another brush. Right, there's the brush holder with the old brush removed, and as you can see it's melted its way into the back of there, but we can repair that with hot glue. And this is the new brush that I'm going to cut up, remove the little brass disc from the end there to leave me with just the carbon brush and the copper lead. So I shall unsolder that from there, remove the spring, and just leave myself with the brush and the copper lead. Right chaps, just a quick word about the carbon type of brush you use to repair the motor on the Ford Mondeo. Right, the soft carbon brush will do the job, but it will last a matter of a month or so. You need a brush which is the carbon copper type, like you would find in a starter motor. Right, you go to any place that repairs, rebuilds, reconditions starter motors, you get these by the thousand. You don't need a full one, you don't need a new one, just one off a scrap starter motor or off anything that has a carbon copper brush in it, and you need to file it to shape to fit the brush holder and to match it as near as you can to the other brush. And one thing you also need to notice is that the brush, unlike this has got a curve on there which is supposed to match to the armature. Now this brush goes at 90 degrees to the armature, to the commutator on the starter, but when it's fitted to something like the Bosch motor on the Ford Mondeo fan, it's not at 90 degrees, it's slightly offset, so you need to shave off one side and match it to the commutator as closely as you can. Now the normal way to do this is to wrap a piece of emery tape around the commutator and to rotate it half a circle backwards and forwards until it shaves the brush to the correct shape. Now it's not really possible to do that on the Ford Mondeo fan because of the limited amount of room you have to get into the job to do it. So what I did with mine was just shaped it as close as I could to the armature, and then I ran it on the bench for about an hour just to let it run in, and to be honest it really makes no difference whatsoever. It will bed over a matter of a week or two. It will bed in, right? And as I say, I've done this repair a couple of weeks now, and I've had no problem with it. It's running back to full speed again, and it's running beautifully. But do remember, use the copper type of carbon brush, not the plain carbon one, because the plain carbon one, which is what I used in the first place, will only last a few weeks. Okay chaps, catch you later. Right, the GoPro suddenly returned no SD card there, and I got into a bit of a panic, and in the panic I knocked the spring on the floor. But this little tiny spring is what holds the brush holder in tension on the armature, and you would think it's hard to refit, but in actual fact there's a simple way around fitting it, and I'll show you it now. Right, if you take a piece of thin wire and bend a little tiny hook on one end of it and a loop on the other, that's the tool for refitting brush springs, and it works very well, as I'll show you. So what we have to do before we refit the spring is just take a soldering iron, put a tiny blob of solder onto the end of the wire to fix it to this little resistance coil here, just to reconnect the brush to the circuitry. Doesn't take much, and that's it done. Right, so having soldered the brush wire back on, we take the little spring, we hook it in, hold on to it with your thumb, thread the loop through, grab the spring, place the brush in its holder, which can be a little fiddly, like that, and then we carefully pull the spring through and hook it back on. This may take a couple of attempts, because I have to get it nailed right around, like that, and there it is, all back together. Right, refitting is just a reversal of the removal procedure. We find the lugs here, we place this back over and gently push it down. And that locates with a click. Oh, does it? Or does it just... No, that's just gone back in as it is. So that's now seated. Yep, that's fully seated back in. File's free to rotate. Yep, that's fine. Okay, and then it's just a matter of putting it back in the car, reconnecting it, and you'll find it will work perfectly.